It's lost its furry bit off the microphone. I'm sure that doesn't matter. Yes, so we had a gap in the programme, and I offered to do an interlude here around the accidental conference organiser. I'll explain a bit more about what my motivation behind this was as we go through, but I'll start by doing the, at some point in my past, and again, this hopefully will become relevant as I talk through the rest of this, I've done some presentation skills training where they say, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell you what they've told them. So this is my tell them what you're going to tell them. So what I'm planning to talk about for this next few minutes is the history of PyCon UK, my history with PyCon UK, a little bit about my history, what I brought, what I've learned, and could it be you? So they're the topics that I'm going to cover over the next wee while. So, first of all, PyCon UK history. I have to admit that a number of the facts that I have put into this presentation I did get from the internet. Obviously, we know everything you read on the internet is true, but I will just say that I haven't fact-checked that with people who will have far greater knowledge than I do. So I apologise in advance to anybody who tells me that this is wrong. And actually, I look forward to you telling me that's wrong so that at some point I can correct this. As I understand it from that source of truth that is the internet, the inaugural PyCon UK ran in 2007 in Birmingham, organised by John Pinner, who the previous year had stated, what we really need to do is set up a UK Python conference. In latter years, it moved to Coventry, and sadly in 2015, John Pinner, the original organiser, died, and the 2015 conference was held in Coventry in his absence. The following year, PyCon UK ran in Cardiff, at Cardiff City Hall for the first time, albeit that Django and Python conferences had been held in Cardiff since 2014. Daniele, I'll do my history check with you later. I didn't get a chance to check before. There was an education day at that event and also a Django Girls workshop at that event. I think Peter Inglesby was the conference director that year. I see a thumb up from over there. And then also in 2017. In 2018, Daniele took over the role in 2018 and 2019. And then for 2020, Christian Glass took on the role of conference director. Sadly, Christian presided over the inevitable cancellation of the conference for reasons with which we're all now very familiar. The conference director for PyCon UK is appointed by the UKPA, the UK Python Association, and I was appointed as the conference director in 2021. Somebody's decided to try and call me at this very point in time. So I was appointed as the conference director in 2021. So I'll go on a little bit now just to talk about my history with PyCon UK. So where did I start with PyCon UK? In 2017, a PyCon UK organiser asked me if I would organise the Django Girls workshop for that year's conference. I said no. They didn't take no for an answer. If you don't know what is Django Girls, it is a one-day beginners coached tutorial for women who probably have little or no experience with programming. Experienced coaches work through the tutorial in small groups with the attendees over the period of a day. Sometimes they're held as independent workshops, but PyCon UK has held them as part of the conference programme for a number of years. I think Django Girls as an organisation was set up in 2014. And we did have the pleasure of the original founders of Django Girls actually coming along to one of the workshops that we ran here. So 2017, I somewhat nervously arrived in Cardiff with lists and stickers and coach T-shirts. And what a friendly, welcoming community event that was, even to imposters. Carrie-Anne Philbin, she has attended in the past, and I was looking for some sort of like background on this, but in 2015, she did tweet that PyCon was the friendliest conference ever, and that was definitely my experience when I first came here in 2017. In 2018, I ran another Django Girls workshop, and I was a marginally larger part of the organisers' team dealing with the conference email. And then in 2019, I took on sponsor liaison from the previous organiser who'd done that, Neil Stoker, who described to me the required skill set for that role as polite persistence, which has stuck with me and I think I will use in future. So that was how I came to be involved with PyCon UK. And as I say, in 2021, I was appointed the director for the conference. 2021, we took the decision not to run, again, for well-known reasons. We did run the conference last year with a slightly pared-back program, and it is a real honour that this year we're able to run it with a Young Coders Day, with a Sprints Day, with a Django Girls workshop. So I'm very briefly going to go into my own history. Again, as part and a reflection on, well, what is it perhaps that I have brought to the role of conference director. So I always used to say that my journey into tech started with a Sinclair ZX81, and I do appreciate that there may be many of you in the audience who might need to Google what that is. There will be others who are from a similar time, so they will know. But actually, I've been reflecting upon that recently, and I don't think that is where it started. I think it actually started even before that, and it started with my dad talking to me about car registration plates. I do have a 10-minute presentation on car registration plates, but that's not for today. That's for another day, or perhaps even a lightning talk. But what I really loved, and as my family will attest, still love, about car registrations are the systems and the logic that underlie that. And I realised that that's what got me into programming and my journey into tech. Fast forward, we can add other things like landline standard telephone dialing codes, road numbering. I recently started a new job, and in less than 3 weeks, I've already managed to out myself as a road numbering geek, which I have mixed feelings about that thing. So yes, so I did these things. I went off to study engineering. I am very much an engineer and not a scientist. I don't really care what happens under the hood. I do care that lots of brilliant minds care about what happens, but I care about how I can make it solve the problem that I have. So I worked in engineering for about 10 years, and then my daughter was born. And for reasons of family logistics, it didn't make sense to go back into that technical role. So I took a break from paid employment. I did an Open University degree in psychology, and then I worked in volunteering for a decade, and I ran my own business for a decade. And then I got involved with PyCon UK, and that was when a seed was sown. That maybe I wanted to get back into a technical role, and maybe that was a possibility. So I did a Return to Tech boot camp and have been working back in a technical role for about 4 years now. Worked in a variety of places. I worked in a cooperative in the care sector. I worked for a consultancy, and most recently, I've moved to a software as a service company who do ticketing and CRM software for independent arts venues. So I am going to try and catch up with Emily a bit later on today as well. So then I started to reflect on, okay, well, I have done lots of squiggly things, so what are the things that I bring? And there are lots of different bits and pieces that I've picked up over different times in my career. This one I just like, because some of the things that stick with you over the time is this is the colour code for resistors. There is a mnemonic for you to remember the colour code for resistors, so if any of you need this in your futures, all you have to remember is bye-bye, Rosie, off you go, Birmingham via Great Western, and then you will perfectly know the colour codes for resistors. I've done lots of different roles, and I've had lots of different training along the way. I had some presentation skills training at some point in my past, and one of the things they talked about there was the use of props in presentations. I then went on into other roles, and then one of probably the toughest gigs that I've ever had to do was I was promoting volunteering, and my role was to stand up in front of 150 teenagers on a regular basis, but on a random Tuesday morning to talk to them about volunteering. Now, that is a tough gig. Standing up here in front of all of you, does nothing to scare me after doing that. So yes, so that was where I started. And then the other thing that I bring with me is I bring a bus. I actually forgot to bring my bus. I was halfway down the motorway and it's like I didn't pack the bus. So I did have a dash out into Cardiff yesterday to find, this is the only bus that I could find at short notice. So I do have a rather large early learning centre plastic bus. But the reason I have the bus was my presentation skills training that talked to you about use a prop. It's my prop, and my teenagers who I was talking to about volunteering, I had the analogy of a double-decker bus and about how many of them lined up one behind another worth of double-decker buses there were coming out of school in any given year. And so that was why I used my bus. So I brought my bus, and that goes into sort of things that I've carried on with. Thank you. I will speed up a little bit. Yes, so I have my bus. Let me just put my bus down there. What are the things that I've learned by virtue of being the conference director? Sorry, that was a bit of a race. What have I learned by being part of the PyCon UK team, but also being the conference director? I've learned very clearly that conference organising is a team game. It isn't about me. Yes, I might be the person that stands up and says all the things at the start of the day and what have you, but there are a huge number of people amazing people who make this happen, and they do that alongside their real lives, with children and teenagers and partners and families and aging parents and health issues and mental health first aid needs and their day jobs and their hobbies and their pastimes and the rest of their lives. I also have learned what the connection between PyCon and the Luftwaffe, One Direction, Anthony Joshua and Queen Elizabeth II all have in common. I won't give that there now, the response to what all those things are. Some people will know, but catch me afterwards if you want to find out that. And I came across a quote when I was looking at this from Meg Wheatley that says, "There's no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about." And I think that is what PyCon UK has done right from its inception. And for other people and for other conferences, we are seen as an example. I've spoken to a number of people and they're like, your code of conduct was great. I love the idea that you're making conferences accessible, that you by default run a creche, that you do all these things. And I've spoken to a number of people over the years that I've been involved with PyCon UK, and we are definitely seen as an example. And it's given me lots of experience that I found beneficial to myself. It's given me leadership skills. It's a slightly overrated term, but I've learned from each and every person that I've co-organised with over the years that I've been involved with PyCon UK. And for that, I'm very grateful. So I'll just move quickly on to the future. So the time has come. I was going to say the time has come to pass on the crown, but as I've said, organising the conference is very much a team game. So I actually feel it's kind of like passing on the mantle rather than the crown, because I don't stand here crowned as conference director. I stand here as part of the team. I couldn't find a snake with a mantle. I think a mantle's a cape. Someone who knows English better than me will probably correct me on that one. And I kind of think that the dragon snake, that if you use your imagination, that could be a cape. So the time has come for a new owner of the PyCon cape. So we are looking to appoint the conference director for next year. And that is my ask to you at the end of this conference is, could it be you? So the conference director, as I say, is appointed by the UK PA. If you think that you could be one of the next conference directors, and bear in mind that you will all have a different set of skills that have come from all the different things that you've done in the same way that my skills come from all the different things that I've done, then please do speak to one of the trustees of the UK PA. If you are not sure who they are, please turn up here at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for the AGM, and you will see them. I think we parade them on the stage. I can't remember. And the one thing I did also bring is like, if you want to have a way to consider your conversation with them. I did bring another one of my props that I've used for my teenagers, so you can make your very own cut-out double-decker bus that you could use to start your discussions with the UK PA trustees. That's the end of what I had to say to you.
Thank you. Okay, we're just trying to get back on time, so thank you, Anne.
No problem.
Question one. Oh,
thank you very much. In completely practical, concrete terms, if somebody thinks that they might be you or they could do it, what should they do right now?
What they should do right now is they should find a UK PA trustee and they should have a discussion with them about that. And as I say, if you're not sure who those people are, they will be here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And we can direct people towards the people to speak to.
okay, I'm going to cut us short on Q&A at that point, and it merely remains to thank Anne for all the wonderful things she's been doing and her